Yeah. So that's what I'm writing. That's my job. So that, yeah. Okay, so we have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, action.
Hello, hi, and welcome to the Afro Mavericks. I am Afro, and this is Maverick. So we've been seeing you guys in your comments, especially on YouTube and Twitter. Yes, Ndate Shabalala, you've got so many questions. Okay, mind blown. All right, thank you for participating. Alrighty, so today we're discussing, should the EFF disrupt the State of the Nation address, right? And I am pro. I think the EFF should absolutely 100% disrupt SONA. I'm going to state why. Because number one, the EFF historically, we've seen them disrupt these kind of sitting in parliaments, and they've actually been successful in what they wanted to achieve. We look at former President Ubaba, and they wanted to remove him, and over again they disrupted the sitting of parliament, and they were able to get him out. I mean, sure, he resigned, but that was an effective tool, right? Number two, there's nothing new that President Cyril Ramaphosa is going to tell us. Okay, it's the same thing over and over and over again, and the ruling party has proven that whatever that they say, when it comes to implementation, there's a disconnect, and we say this each and every single week on the show. So I actually think that President Cyril Ramaphosa should actually do the SONA at the union buildings in front of a camera, and they should broadcast it on the SABC. That would benefit because they actually save a lot of money. Okay, I can tell you how the SONA is going to go. And it's going to start like this, right? President Cyril Ramaphosa is going to theme it with some song by Brahu, like Tumamela, right? But we now know that he's not Chimegabo, right? Number one. Number two, he is going to have some quote by Saul Blackie, right? Quoting from his book. But then we know that they have no plans to actually redistribute land, or rather no intention, even though there are a lot of papers on that. I think that President Cyril Ramaphosa and his SONA will actually not benefit South Africa because there is nothing new. However, what will benefit the country is the EFF actually challenging the president and the ruling party and saying, look, this minister of yours, Ndate Jamnandas, has not taken accountability, and it's not like he's doing anything effective in terms of restoring and fixing your state-owned enterprises.
All right. So look, I disagree. I don't think that the EFF should disrupt this particular SONA. And number one, I think the reason is because I think a lot of people are beginning to see very clearly that Cyril has very little to offer. So just let him flop by himself. Don't create a sideshow for Cyril Ramaphosa to be able to escape scrutiny. So if you create the sideshow of the disruption, that becomes part of the story. So 25 to 50% of the reporting becomes about disruption. The debates become about the disruption. If you let him speak, have his generic speech, then people will see him for what he really is. And at this point, it's ineffectual. So if you are a pro-EFF person, I don't think that actually interfering with this particular address is going to be effective. I think what's more effective is to actually let the man, deliver his address as bland as it is, as full of wishes as it is, and let the people see it for what it is. That's one. Number two, I think that this has become a predictable strategy from the EFF, and that reduces its impact. So I think when everyone are like, you're going to disrupt, and you disrupt, there's no shock factor anymore to that particular action. It becomes part of the tapestry, so to speak, of SONA addresses. And I don't think you want to do that with your most effective tool. I think that you want to put it aside and bring it out when there is real value to doing it. And that brings me to my third point. I don't actually think that the EFF right now, when it comes to Pravin, because the attack seems to be about Pravin and going for Jamnandas, which is his real name. It's not a made-up name. Just to clarify for everyone, that's on his ID. That's his actual birth certificate name that his mama gave him. So going to that, Jamnandas is different from Jacob Zuma. With Jacob Zuma, one, there was an actual Nkandla that people could see. and two, there were public protector reports which were not as question marked as the ones that currently exist around Jamnandis. Because right now, whether we like it or not, there is a review process around the public protector findings against Cyril Ramaphosa, against Pravin. The courts have not yet determined whether or not those particular findings should be upheld. What does that mean? It means that if you go for Jamnandis now, you're almost a bit too early to the party. Let some of the processes unfold, and then let's see if you really have a case against him. Because if you disrupt now, and the review is set aside, I mean the review is upheld in favor of him, then your defense of the public protector, etc., falls away. I think that you gotta wait a little bit until all your ducks are in a row before you go for him the way that the EFF wants to. So those are my points around why disruption right now isn't useful or maybe the right strategy.
Okay, so we're gonna let you decide what you think. We're quickly gonna move on to something else. Vuyani Pambo, new spokesperson of the EFF, do you think that he'll actually make a good spokesperson?
So yeah, I'm gonna go in favor of Vuyani for this particular section. So I know the guy, and he's a passionate guy. So that's one. Passion is always an advantage. I think that he's been in the EFF long enough to observe how to communicate effectively. That's two. Number three, I think that he, in his own right, is an effective communicator. Some of you may know not this about Vuyani Pambo, but he was the founder of the EFF Student Command at WITS, and he was very involved in putting the messaging across on campus. Very effective spokesperson. In fact, when the EFF did an event at WITS, I think in 2013 or 2014, Vuyani was their MC. So he has been an orator. He does have the oratorical background to actually effect this particular role properly. But also, I would say that Vuyani was very effective as a speaker in the Fees Must Fall movement. I mean, we saw him from 2015, 2016, 2017. He was there, he was speaking, and he was very effective in his public addresses. In fact, he was so good as a spokesperson for Fees Must Fall that we all know who he is if we were following that particular movement in time. I think also it's a good time, and Mboiseni has gotten enough traction from this position. I don't think that there's more that Mboiseni can benefit from it. But I do think that Vuyani is in a position where, one, it gives that position a fresh look, so it draws new eyeballs to the position of spokesperson for the EFF. It allows the EFF to create more superstars because they're building up a roster. It can't just be Julius and Floyd. So now they've got Julius, Floyd, Mboiseni, Mandisa, Naledi, and now Vuyani and Peter. You see, like, they're building this roster of young leaders, which I think gives them credence in the long run. So for those reasons, I think that Vuyani is an asset to the EFF in respect to this new position.
I absolutely 100% think that Vuyani is an asset to the EFF, but I don't think in the position of a spokesperson. Only because, number one, right, I think that he's actually an activist and he's not a politician. Vuyani was that speaker who was speaking on behalf of the downtrodden, the people whose stories were the premise of Fees Must Fall, right? Not just speaking, but acting as well, right? His articulation, a bit of a debate. His, self-to-speech wasn't that, the points that he was making valid. However, how he articulated himself was not inspiring.
That's been a while, right? From, like, I'm sure he's better now.
It's debatable, right? So I just think he's an activist in the sense that spokespeople are people who spin things. They're spin doctors. So you can't take a Steve Biko, right, and allow him to spin what politicians are doing. You can't make Steve Biko and Olivia Pope, right? I don't think he's got that in him to actually say, look, even though politicians are not acting right, he'd actually spin that and sort of say, okay, but this is the right thing to do, etc., etc. So I think for him as an activist, he needs to stay on the side of that. How do we develop policies in terms of education? How do we mobilize people outside the student command? I think he would be beneficial to the EFF in that format. But in terms of a spokesperson, I don't think that he's ruthless enough and cunning enough and enough of a spin doctor to actually convince us of whatever that politicians are going to do. I mean, just VBS. Do you think he would have spun that?
Yeah, I absolutely think Vuyani is going to do a good job. I think so, but obviously we'll have to wait and see. Let's see how he handles the position. We're going to keep it short. We're going to keep it tight for this episode. Tell us what you think. Should they disrupt? Is Vuyani going to do a good job? What are your thoughts? Comment, subscribe, like, share.
You should blog.
To the things. Catch you in the next one. Peace.
Goodbye.
Yeah.